Hello and welcome to Just One More Watch. Welcome to the first quartz watch that I've reviewed on the channel in ages. No, hang on, don't blaspheme and click on the next video. Give me please just 1 minute of your time. For a lot of people, quartz is all they really need in a watch. They're more accurate, they're more reliable, they're a damn sight cheaper to maintain, and they're a damn sight more rugged than the equivalently priced automatic. Now, I've been trying to get a hold of one of these Vaers for ages. Really interesting looking proposition, assembled in the USA with a couple of straps included in the package. You've got a dressier strap for Monday to Friday at the office, swap it out for a NATO for an outdoorsy look and feel for the weekend. And if you really don't like quartz, they've got a Sellita powered automatic version of the same watch coming in a couple of weeks. Reviewing this one today gives both of us a chance at a sneak peek at the brand before they release their auto. You saw the thumbnail, I'm sure, half price Hamilton. This Vaer is normally priced at $160 US, but I span one of those wheel things, got $30 off it. That takes it down to $129 US. That is half the price of the equivalent Hamilton khaki quartz field watch. And I think the finishing on this Vaer is better than on the equivalent Hamilton. It's been a real surprise package. Let's flip the camera and have a look at it. So an intriguing proposition then. Half the price of a Hamilton, but potentially better quality than a Hamilton. I think I did get a tad excited in the intro though when I said that their auto was coming out in a couple of weeks. It's coming out in a couple of months, so if you really aren't a fan of quartz, you'll have to hang on just a touch longer. But looking at this one today gives us a chance to assess the quality of the watch and a chance to have a little bit of a look at the company. And I'm not plucking the Hamilton comparison out of thin air today either. I bought a Hamilton khaki field mechanical middle of last year, sold it pretty quickly. I wasn't all that impressed with the quality of the watch considering the price that I paid for it. Very, very simple bead blasted style finish. I guess it suited a field watch, but it wasn't all that fantastic, I thought. So big thank you to Vaer for sending me this one in for review. They gave me the pick of their range and I chose this one. Kind of silver, white dialed field variant. I think if the idea is that you wear the same watch two different ways, if you wear it on a fancier strap during the week and then you put it on a less fancy NATO strap for the weekend, then a pale dial watch is probably the one to go for, probably the most versatile of the designs and also the most legible of the designs. So in terms of their pricing, all of these watches come with two straps. $190 gets you the two-piece Horween leather and one of these nylons. $180 gets you the one-piece leather and a nylon. $160 gets you two different colors of nylon strap. I do like Horween leather, I'm a big fan of it. I've got a couple of Horween leather straps in my collection. However, I think you're better going for the slightly cheaper variants today. I'd probably steer you away from the two-piece leather strap for reasons which will become obvious later on. So 40mm in diameter, we've got a thickness of 9.5mm because it's quartz just under the centimetre, lug tip to lug tip of about 47.5mm, 20mm lug width. Now weight, on the supplied NATO strap, which is the lightest of the options, the head of the watch weighs 50 grams. Then you add 15 on for the NATO, roughly 20 for either of those two Horween straps. So somewhere between 65 and 70 grams. So a nice light and comfortable watch if this one is for all day, everyday wear. 316L stainless steel case, crown, smooth bezel, three-piece case. I'll show you the case back in a minute or two as well. Now the crown, nice knurling on the crown. Vaer, just the kind of block capitals engraved in the crown tip there. And it's screwed down. 100 meters of water resistance from this. You don't often see a screw down crown on a kind of simple field style watch, but Vaer are guaranteeing the waterproofness of the watch. They also give you a 2-year warranty. Again, 1 year is more normal with this style of quartz watch. So good to see Vaer are backing up that American assembly that they proudly herald either side of the 6 o'clock there. Zoomed right in on the dial and it's all pretty standard field watchy stuff here. That means lots of Arabics, 3 sets of Arabics in total. The big ones denoting the hours on the indices. We've got a smaller set denoting the 24-hour markers on an inner ring. Nice that they've done them in red, as also the outer 5-minute increments. There's a minute track there as well. All of this just printed on red, highlighting the red second hand. Also, just a Vaer logo, fairly subtle under the 12, 100 meters above the 6, and that American assembly as mentioned either side of the 6. Now there is a date complication at the 3 o'clock. Somewhat awkwardly integrated. They've had to kind of truncate the 3. Doesn't look too bad in operation though, and they managed to put a little beveled edge around that date frame, which is always nice. The movement in this Vaer is a Ronda Swiss Quartz 763, 300 plus date, and hallelujah, that second hand hits those indices nicely. You'll get about 3 years of battery life out of one of these. Shouldn't cost you too much to replace if you do take it into your local watchmaker. Dead flat sapphire crystal covering that dial as well. Now there is some lume on the watch, I guess some form of superluminova. Looks like C3, it's got that bright green colour. Just on the hour hand and on the minute hand, better than nothing, but perhaps when they're doing the automatic in future, they might look at adding some circular dots around the hour markers. I think that would just take the lume up a notch. It's usable, but it is rather minimal. The supplied NATO straps are actually very nice. Good quality nylon, proper stitched rather than bonded. Nice brushed hardware to match the head of the watch, and the Vaer logo printed on one of the retaining buckles. But let's have a look at the case, because as discussed, it's been a bit of a surprise today. Very, very smooth. Everything is really smooth and nicely done. Super smooth horizontal brushing on the mid case. Little polish on the chamfered edge. Back to brushed on the lugs. There's a circular brush on that bezel, and again just a nice little polished edge to the edge of the bezel. 3-piece case, smooth bezel, and we've got a screw down case back with that 100 meters of the water resistance. And as you can see there, they haven't skimped out. It's actually nicely finished behind the lugs as well. Everything just very smooth to the touch, looks good and feels good. And if you see there, the same angle of the beveled edge of the bezel, there's a corresponding angle to the sapphire crystal. So the whole thing feels very cohesive, very well integrated, and I'll say it again, just very smooth. Quick look at a simple screw down case back as well. The usual adverts: assembled in Los Angeles, Swiss movement, water resistance 100 meters, Vaer logo, but again nice and smooth on wrist. And there is the watch sitting on top of my 7-inch wrist. 40mm, bit of a sweet spot for me, bit of a sweet spot for most people, I reckon. If you're going to start a watch company and only produce one watch, make it a 40mm, that would be my advice. Even on this double pass NATO, it only sits about 12mm in total, so still nice and slim thanks to that quartz movement. Bit of curvature to those lugs there, wears well, and it is a high quality NATO as noted previously. Zoomed out higher for perspective, and my choice of that white, off-white, silver coloured dial watch becomes obvious. Super legible, those big black Arabics denoting the hours, and the black hour and minute hands. All very easy to read, even from a reasonable distance. And it's just as legible when you get it out into some natural light. Not sure if there is much or any anti-reflective coating on that sapphire crystal. It isn't mentioned on the Vaer website, but it doesn't make too much of a difference. The fact that those hands are a reasonable size and black against the white dial black Arabics means this one is still legible when you're outdoors, and for an outdoors watch, that's definitely an advantage. Back to the studio and let's have a look at some of those other straps. This is a blue one, the other one that Vaer chucked into the box for me to show you today. I think maybe a red that would kind of jazz it up for the weekend and also complement that outer and inner ring of Arabics and the red second hand. And the one-piece Halloween Zulu style looks and smells fantastic. Good that they kept it American as well, continuing on that kind of assembled in Los Angeles theme there by sticking with Halloween leather. That one will age to perfection, I'm sure. So what am I going to complain about today then? Well, not an awful lot. I haven't shown you the 2-piece Halloween leather strap yet, and I did allude earlier on that it's not my favourite of the 3. I think perhaps It's just a bit too big and chunky, and it rather overpowers a 40mm, less than 1 centimeter thick quartz watch. It just seems a little bit too rustic, a little bit too thick in places. That is a chunk of dead cow to have underneath your wrist, I think. Big folded over, those 2 retainers and heaps of stitching. It's just a little bit too bulky in my opinion. You're better off, I think, going for one of the cheaper options today and then speccing on an additional strap of your choice at a later stage. And it may be half the price of a Hamilton and able to match or exceed the finishing standards in some respects, but it's not a Hamilton. So you get what you pay for, and when you go for a micro brand, you lose the recognition that comes with being on the Swatch Group ladder. You lose the history and heritage of Hamilton as a watch company. You're investing in something a little bit different. You're investing in a company more like a startup, but perhaps in some ways even more like a Hamilton than Hamilton, because at least this one is assembled in America the way Hamiltons used to be. But a promising start, I think, from Vaer. As noted, I've been trying to get my hands on one of these for a year or so good that one finally made it to Sydney. If they can maintain this level of quality with the automatic, perhaps adding a bit more lume on the dial, doing something a little bit more fancy, but keeping the price down to a reasonable cost, I think they'll be onto a winner here. It's a good looking, simple, versatile watch that does what the designers intended it to do. So there you have it, half price hammy alternative. I think genuinely yes. This one does everything that the company set out for it to do. Screw down crown, 100 meters of water resistance, sapphire crystal, usable lume, quartz watch, couple of different looks, $130, and the case finishing is really good for the price. Some watches I get in and they're a bit of a disappointment, some watches I get in and they're a bit of a surprise. This Vaer, certainly the latter, bodes very well for their automatic. Thanks for watching. See you then, if not before.